let's make a guitar. This build is for the Great Guitar Build-Off. So Crimson Guitar sent a few makers their guitar kits to modify and make our own. So everybody who's involved in this competition should have their videos posted by today. So I will hopefully drop some links down below on the side, somewhere around this video, so you guys can check those out. So the point of this is to build cool guitars for charity. So I'm going to put a link in the description to the Great Guitar Build-Off website where you guys can check out everybody that's involved in this and their charity of choice. So when Crimson first reached out to us, they gave us options for which guitar kits to choose. As soon as I saw this big ash blank, I knew that this was the one that I wanted because I can get creative with the shape. All of the hard parts are already done. The neck pocket and the pickup cavities are all routed out. The control cavity is routed out. There's a control cavity cover on there, drilled out for the ferrules and everything. They also sent a neck that has already been fretted and it's been dressed, and the fret job on this is awesome. It also has my logo on the 12th fret, which is pretty cool. So I think that I have an idea for this. Let's get into it. So I have a piece of MDF here that's roughly the same width, luckily, as that blank. Draw a center line. And I'll get the neck pocket dimensions onto here as well, just to kind of figure stuff out. I ended up just marking everything out with a Sharpie just to get a basic idea of where everything is. And I think I'm just going to freehand it. I'll lay the neck down by the neck pocket and just start coloring. I made that sound like it was going to be really easy. Fast forward to about 2 hours later. I have a rough shape that I'm not even 100% happy with yet, but I'll get it rough cut on the bandsaw, and then hopefully I'll get it to a shape that I'm happy with some sanding. All right, I think this is what I'm gonna go with. This little cutout part, this little nubbin sticking out, was giving me a little hard time. I couldn't figure out how to shape that, but I think I'm happy with that design. Speaking of the design, I think I want to do some sort of play on the sunburst pattern. I always think that a sunburst pattern looks really cool on a guitar, but I don't work with paint, so I want to try to copy that sort of idea with veneers. So if you've ever seen a sunburst pattern table, there are like triangles radiating out from the center of the table, and that's what I think I'm gonna try to do here. I think it's gonna look cool, so I'll just start measuring everything out with all the angles to figure out what size material I need to prepare for this veneer process. This is the widest point over here, and I guess down here, so I'll take that measurement to see how wide I need to cut these pieces. So it's about 2 1/4, a little over 2 1/4. So I'll cut the pieces to 2 1/2 wide. And let's see the longest pieces that I need. That's about 9. That's about 10. So I'll cut them a little longer than that. Before cutting these into triangles, I just want to make sure that there's one straight edge. I have a tapering jig to cut any angle that I need, but just for fun, let me show you how to make a really super simple jig that's going to be able to cut any angle that you need. So all I have here is a block of plywood and a smaller block of plywood. Let me figure out where I want this piece. Put my bevel gauge up on the end. And that's it. Just use some brads to lock this into place. And just screw on these toggle clamps. I'm going to stack up a bunch of the pieces to cut at one time. And because I know the pieces are going to like fly off one at a time, I'll just use some double-sided tape and stick down this like offcut support on the side. Now I'll take the pieces that I planed before and I know are straight on this side, and I'll just line them up here. I played around with all the patterns that I can make with these triangle pieces. It took me a while to figure it out, but ultimately I decided to go with this design. I think it'll be cool to have that maple strip going down the middle that is going up into the maple neck. And then it just gradually gets darker and then gradually gets lighter, and it's kind of that play on the sunburst pattern, but just done in a different way. Before doing anything with that veneer though, I'm just going to rough cut the body to shape. Since I'm going to be gluing on this veneer, it's going to add to the thickness of the top, and then the neck isn't going to sit properly into the neck pocket. So what I need to do is I need to plane down the body of the amount of the thickness of these veneer pieces. So I'll use my calipers to take a measurement, and I'll mark that onto the side of the body. I'll fill that in with pen just to make it clearer for myself, but I actually don't want to plane all the way down to that line. I want to go just shy of it because I am going to sand this material, so it is going to be slightly thinner than this. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking the tape and I'm pulling it across all the pieces so it kind of pulls all of them together. See how it's like lifting up a little bit? That's what I want actually, because that way when everything gets clamped down tightly, it's all going to press in right next to each other and there'll be the least amount of gaps as possible. Hopefully 0 gaps. The tips also don't need to be perfect because that's where the pickup is going to go. So I strategically placed the center of the design by the pickup. The two halves are all nicely taped up together, but if I bring them together, you can actually see a ginormous gap in the middle. But I knew that was gonna happen, and here's how I'm going to fix that. First, I'll bring these pieces overlapping so that I see 0 gaps. I'll take the template and line it up where it's supposed to go. I'll just roughly trace around the shape just to get the basic shape, staying really far away from the actual lines of the template, and then I'm just going to roughly cut it out on the bandsaw. So I have this piece of MDF here. Drop on some double-sided tape. I don't want a lot here. One strip will be enough. I'll put down the first piece, just touching to feel that everything is even along this edge here. Take the other piece, flip it over, line it up, make sure everything is even all around. Drop on another piece of double-sided tape here and sandwich it together. Oh, I just realized that these two halves aren't really connected to each other. One second. It's a small little piece of tape. All right, now butt this up against the fence. Okay, now everything is connected. I'll adjust my fence just so that that tiny little sliver is poking out that's going to be cut away. On my practice build with the veneers, I found out that it was easiest to glue it all up at one time. But the way that I did it that time, I didn't get any glue in between all the pieces. So now I'm going to just go around and just try to get glue in between all of the veneer pieces. I put reference lines on here to make sure that I'm lining everything up. Centered. See how these did. Please be good. It looks great. So when cutting that on the bandsaw, I tried to get as close to the template that I could possibly get without cutting into the template, which meant that I had to cut off some of these thin little slivers at some point. I ended up switching out my blade to a 3/8 6 TPI blade, where before, when I was resawing for the veneers, I had a 1/2 inch 3 TPI blade, and having the narrower blade was definitely easier for the curves, and the cut was great. So now most of the material is removed, just need to flush it up at the router table. No! Oh my God. I messed up 2 of the pieces on the pattern. So, the pattern is supposed to go from dark to light. So it's supposed to go the dark poplar, walnut, Goncalo alvez, canary wood, ash, maple. On this little section over here, the canary wood and the Gonzalo, whatever, however you pronounce it, alvez is flipped and switched. How did I do that? How did I mess that up? Anyway, I can't leave it like this. This one goes here, and this one goes here. Before I clamp this up, is it correct? Yes. Okay. Couldn't sleep last night because I was worried if this fix worked or not. Let's see. Like it never even happened. Really happy I decided to fix that. So I only rough sanded this now just to get a flat level surface for my router to rest on to route out the pickup cavities. That's not good. This is the part I've been dreading, using this really long bit to connect all of the cavities. Why is this so scary? Okay, go. Now I need to connect this cavity to this cavity here, I'm going to go through the hole here and just try to aim straight as I can. Just do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. No, I'm scared. Okay, no, do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. There's one more scary hole that I need to drill, and that's from the bridge to the control cavity, so I could ground the bridge. Before I do that, I'm going to connect the holes that were already on here through the front, and I'm going to take two precautionary steps to prevent tear out on this, even though it's going to be covered by the bridge. I'll use tape, and I'm also going to put some MDF right underneath it so that there's no tear out when I drill all the way through. I decided to go into the pickup cavity, and then I'll run the wire from the pickup cavity into the hole that I already drilled out here. It's just a shorter distance to get from here to here than here to there. I also can't see where the control cavity is, so I'm scared I'm going to mess that up. Totally forgot that I need to shape the headstock also. It's always really exciting when the Spider-Man towel comes out, because that means it's finally time to finish. Time to wire everything up. So I'm going to be using 2 humbuckers, but I want to coil split them to get some different tones out of it. So I have 2 500K pots here that are push-pull pots, so that I'll be able to split those coils. And I also have a 3-way toggle switch. Never done this before, but I have a wiring diagram from Seymour Duncan, so hopefully this should go smoothly. All right, input, output, ground. Got it. That took a while, but I think it looks like the diagram, so let's test it out and see if it works. I really just want to see if my wiring worked out before I attach the neck. I think I did it. Oh my god, I can't believe I did it. Okay. Now that I know everything works, I could put the neck on. Something that I probably should have checked before, but the hole here is too small for the jack to fit through, so I just disconnected it, plugged it up with a dowel. Now I'm gonna cut it flush, and then I'll re-drill a bigger hole to fit this jack. I'll put in the nut and temporarily put in the low E string and the high E string so that I could get the correct bridge placement. And it's done. So I am so thrilled with the way that this turned out, and I'm actually really sad that I'm gonna have to give it away because I really love it. But it's for a good cause, it's for charity. So you can win this guitar by going to the Great Guitar Build-Off website that I linked to down below. So you could buy some raffle tickets to win this guitar and all the other guitars that are in this competition. So just promise me if you win it, just send me a video of you playing it or where it lives, because it's going to be really sad for me to let go of it. So because I worked kind of hard on the electronics, I want to show you guys all the different tones that this thing can make. I'm on a clean channel on my amp over here, and these are all the tones that it can make. Don't forget to check out the Great Guitar Build-Off website, where you'll have a chance to win this guitar and all the other amazing guitars that were a part of this competition. Thanks to WOODCRAFT for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Do you want to see what it looks like?
Yeah, sure.
All right, it's right here. What do you think?
It's cool.
It's cool?
Yeah.
What do you think it looks like when you're looking at it?
It looks like the sun is exploding.
It looks like the sun is exploding?
Yeah, sort of.
Do you know that the pattern that I was trying to like copy, do you know what it's called?
No.
A sunburst pattern. So I was kind of trying to make it look like the sun is exploding.